Now go.
I think you are now ready. Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago. The words of guidance you have been hearing since your awakening from Princess Zelda herself. Even now, as she works to restrain Ganon from within Hyrule Castle, she calls out for your help.
Hello and welcome to Comics, the Console Crusade. This is the podcast where Pat, Joe, and I comb through my extensive, yard sale acquired retro video game collection to discuss the best and maybe the worst of comic book oriented video games. And today's featured game is Batman Arkham Asylum on PS3 and Xbox 360 and probably PC.
To spoil everything, didn't you?
It's over, Joker.
Do you really think you can win? Little bat.
Before we get started, let's meet the host of the show. We'll introduce one another and ask each other to describe Arkham Asylum in 3 words. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Pat, DJ Christados. Pat, if you'd be so kind, give me the first 3 words that pop into your head when you think Batman Arkham Asylum.
I am Batman.
Not bad.
I came up with it just on the fly like that, but I have more words to describe it, but I will save that for later on. So with that, I want to introduce our on-staff musical genius, Joe November. Joe, how would you describe Arkham Asylum using only 3 words?
I will say a great, but spelled Grate game.
Due to the amount of greats that you
Yes. Yes. You are constantly breaking down grades to get around everywhere. So it's a great game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And now I'll turn the question on to my old friend, Jarrod Albrick, a.k.a. Death Probe. Jarrod, please describe Arkham Asylum using only 3 words.
All right, fair warning. The last one's a bit of a cheat, but there's a hyphen involved. Okay. Dang near bat perfect.
All right.
Okay. It's bat hyphen perfect.
Yeah.
It's dang near bat perfect. It is such a good game. I'm tipping my hand, but I have a lot of good things to say tonight.
I wonder what your score is going to be.
It's 11. Possibly a 12. I don't know.
Wait a minute, Jarrod. We got Joe November with us.
We got Joe November here, so I'm going to be dropping 0.5s just because I can. Yes,
I know what that means.
Everyone's so happy when Joe's on a show. They're like, we can use halvesies. We can use halvesies. All because we just totally let Joe do it, like on the very first Comic to Console. And then like Delvin texting me, was like, what the hell, man? What's with the halvesies? So we had to make it the unwritten rule.
Nice.
Well, actually, it's a written rule.
Yeah, it's a rule. I'll check with Laurel.
Yeah,
Check
check
the policy on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check the manual. Okay, with our shenanigans out of the way, I'm going to throw it back to Joe, and he's going to take a look at the specs of Arkham Asylum in a segment that we like to call All Your Specs Are Belong to Us.
How are you, gentlemen? All your base are belong to us. You are on the way to destruction.
Thanks, Jarrod. So this game was released on August 25th of 2009. The publisher was Warner Brothers Interactive, and I believe it's pronounced Eidos.
Eidos, yeah.
Yeah, Eidos, probably. The developer is Rocksteady. It is a action-adventure game type, and it is a 1-player game. Now back to Jarrod, where he'll use his yard sale to eBay skills for a segment we call Cached Memory.
Thank you, Joe. So if you're looking for this game in the secondary market, you are in luck. It is not expensive. And let me just say, again, I'm a little biased. I like this game, but it's not because the game's lacking in quality. It's because it was so successful, they made lots of copies. And then it got like re-released in a Game of the Year edition. And then it got re-released, like it was originally on PS3, and then on PS4, it got a higher def. You know what I'm talking about. It got like the upgrade. Yeah. It's had a lot of versions released. So it's fairly, get ready, Pat, ubiquitous out there. So
isn't that a state or something in Canada?
That is the Yukon?
Quebec?
Oh, you were going with Quebec.
I was going with Quebec, but yeah, thanks for ruining the bit.
And the joke stops there. But anyway, let me do my job. So if you want just sort of a loose copy, decent copy, you can get it on eBay for around $5. If you want a complete, it's got the manual and it's really nice and all that, maybe up to about 10. Factory sealed, it's still not that expensive. You can still snag a factory sealed copy today, as of this recording, which is in April of 2023, for $15 to $20. Again, it's not rare because there's a lot of it out there. And I know some of you folks play on Steam, and I'm sure it's available there as well. So it's not hard to find. Now that we've got all that pertinent information hashed out, let's take a quick podcast break and come back, and we will talk about the gameplay experience of Arkham Asylum.
Xenozoic Xenophiles,
a fan podcast devoted to the comic series Xenozoic Tales.
It's a post-apocalyptic adventure series filled with Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
I'm Ruth.
And I'm Darren.
Please join us as we discuss the stories, characters, and art in this excellent comic series from writer and artist Mark Schultz.
Special episodes feature interviews with Mark Schultz himself discussing Xenozoic Tales and his other comics.
Listen at Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit XenozoicXenophiles.com.
Xenozoic Xenophiles is part of the Rad Adventures Network at radadventuresnetwork.com.
Welcome back from the break. We hope you enjoyed that promo from our friend of the show. And now let's talk about that experience, that gaming experience of Batman Arkham Asylum. We will discuss the game in the following categories. We'll talk about the graphics, the game design, the enjoyability, our favorite thing about the game, and our least favorite thing about the game. And then we'll wrap it all up with our final verdicts, and we'll give it a final score from 1 to 10. So let's get to it. We will start with the graphics. What did you think of the graphics in Arkham Asylum? We'll start with you, Pat.
Because there's many different versions of this, I'm going to start with it was great on the 360 that I've seen it on and played it on. And then probably, I'm assuming when this game came out, the graphics were just on the platforms that it were looking very good as well, too. Then you talked about you getting the high definition. I watched a gameplay playthrough as we were getting ready for this. And man, are those graphics bumped up even better when you're watching it in an HD, a 4K thing? It's like, holy cow, this game looks really, awesomer. So I'm going to use from great to awesomer. Awesomer, yeah, if that's a word. But, at the time, these were top notch. And to see Batman and all the other, the villains that are in here, just everything, just awesomer.
Awesomer. We'll pass it to Joe on that. Joe, your thought of the graphics?
Awesomer and a half. Awesomer and a half.
That's right. I got it.
Yes.
Joe, what do you think of these graphics?
The graphics were great. And even for the time when they first came out, it was very realistic. They just did an excellent job. The only gripe that I had with the graphics is that everybody was too sweaty and glistening in the lights. That was the only thing that kind of threw me off. Is like everybody was just too sweaty. but it was just part of the lighting system that they use. Just made everybody shine. But other than that,
just got out of the gym. They're like, yeah.
Air conditioning was busted because you broke all those grates.
Right. Yeah, HVAC was definitely an issue in Arkham Island.
Well, I'm going to agree with you guys. I think the graphics look great too. I think they look great when you played it. I think it looked great when I replayed it. I just replayed it on my PS3 back in the fall and beat it all over again, except I 100%ed it this time. I've never done that before. And as I was playing, I was like, one of the nice things about this universe, this Arkham Asylum universe, as far as graphics goes, is that, like you guys said, they're realistic, but they also have just a hint of like comic book flair.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of get away with a lot. They don't have to be super realistic like the world we live in, just as long as they're Batman realistic. Like his proportions are ridiculous. I mean, even Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime wasn't built like that guy is all that, but like it works so well.
Yeah, it's like taking your action figures, you have where they're kind of beefy and built up. It's like taking those and just putting them into a game, and just playing with them. And you got to see the scenes kind of play out real in front of you with your action figures.
In particular, your WrestleMania action figures.
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody was super rich.
Yep. Even the ladies.
The glorious women of Arkham.
Go.
The Glowa? Yeah, it didn't come together like I wanted it to. All right, let's shift topics and let's talk about the game design. When I say game design, I'm talking about the overall feel of the environments, how you interact with them, how it is to control whatever it is, whether you're controlling Batman or Batarangs or what have you. There's various things you can control. Like just that overall game design, how does it feel to you? And we'll start with Joe this time.
Sure. I think they did a really good job on developing the game design, particularly for the playability for how Batman interacts with his tools and how he interacts with the environment. That was really great. Some of the gripes that I did have with the game were some of the boss battles. In particular, like when you're fighting Scarecrow like 30 times and going through his little dream sequence and you have to dodge and stuff like that. I remember playing that and getting really annoyed with that. Probably because I wasn't really good at it, but there was a really cool sequence where Batman is walking through, I believe, the library, and he has a hallucination. He's reliving his memory when his parents got killed. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really nice touch too. You hear the audio of what's going on when he was a kid, watching his parents get murdered, meeting Jim Gordon for the first time. I thought that was a really nice touch. But I guess my only complaint was just the Crane boss battles, and then the repetitiveness of having to fight the Titan henchman a few times. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the premise of the game, because Joker wanted to create a whole army of them. So yeah, you're gonna have to fight a lot of them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the Scarecrow parts a little better than you do, but I do agree with you in the fact that there was a lot of repetitive thing. It felt like they had a certain move set that they had for Batman to fight certain enemies, and they never really, we're going to fit this move set no matter whether he's fighting a regular guy or a boss battle. Like, it just felt a little shoehorned in, but not I wasn't like, this game sucks, it worked. But it's Pat's turn to talk.
Well, as far as the game design, I'm trying to think of what was the last Batman game before this one.
I want to say it was, I think I have it on GameCube. I think it was called Dark Tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody remembers it.
Yeah, I don't remember it at all. So I'm going to go back and go thinking back, is this was a groundbreaking design of game at this time, and the environments. You get to explore somewhat open world a little bit. Granted, there's rails that you can and cannot do, but you do get that exploration world happening a lot here. The ability to, kind of RPG it a little bit with what tools you want, what weapons, armors, things like that you want to have Batman be in order to help you out through the storyline was another fun thing too. So you can make it, do I want to be just a straight up attacker and do all those skills, or do I want to, beef my guy up so I can take the hits, but sometimes that'll get you on some of the bosses too, because you can kind of be beefy and not move fast enough a little bit to dodge certain things and things like that. So you got to find that balance, but the ability to do that and, get some cool gadgets to play around with too. Like you mentioned, the remote control batarang. How cool is that? You get to play around with that as well. So Yeah, I think they overall they did a very good job of creating the environment, immersing you in the environment as well too. Not only visually, but we'll get to the musical part of it as well too. The ambient sound and all that, walking around, the voice acting. I don't know if we're going to talk about the voice acting, but
go ahead, man. It's all part of it.
You look at this high quality voice acting that was going on in this by, notable actors for this. You had Kevin Conroy, you had Mark Hamill as the Joker, playing the Joker parts. I mean, you could just watch this cutscenes and just like, oh yeah, it's like you're watching a movie.
And the jokes that Joker had were actually pretty funny. When he was, there was one in particular where he's like, "Bats, what's your biggest fear?" And he lists all these things, and then he goes, "Me and a thong."
But you wonder how, did they let Hamill kind of ad-lib a little bit or not?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
I would assume you'd have to, and just go, just let it go, and then we'll take the best parts or the fun parts of this, and we'll make something out of this. But just in order to get that quality actors to do that at the time, on a game that was nobody knew what it was going to be. It's basically it was a sleeper game. I think when it came out, people were oh, it's Batman. There's never going to be a good comic book to console kind of a crossover game that's going to be super good. And then you get this thing that came out and just blew people's minds away with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do tell you one thing or a couple of things that I was just like, that doesn't kind of make sense. But you have Arkham Island, and you have an asylum and a penitentiary on the same island. For some reason, that just didn't click for me. I was like, why would you have both on the same island? Wouldn't you just have one or the other? And then the other one was the fact that, oh, hey, Batman just happened to build a second Batcave underneath this island and conveniently was able to do it for this game. I was like, okay, all right.
Nobody noticed. It's like him and Alfred went down to Home Depot one weekend. Was like, let's get a Batcave over there on Arkham Island.
Yeah. I'm just why though? I mean,
you never know. You got
to ask myself that too. I allowed it though. I mean, we all of course have to allow it, but I kind of allowed it because I remember in the 70s Batman comics, there was a while there where he wasn't using the Batcave. He had other bat hidey holes all throughout the city. Like he had some in like a penthouse apartment, and just he had a couple of them around the city. So I kind of felt like it could have been in that era. But no, you're right. When I played, I was like, why is there a Batcave here?
Yeah,
it'd be the safest place to have it.
It would.
You're gonna have it. Why not just have it underneath where you're catching people? And
But either way, I have to correct myself. The last Batman game that released before this was, I think, actually the Batman Begins. It came out and they made a game.
Oh, okay.
Because Dark Tomorrow was like 2003 and Batman Begins was 2005, I think.
Okay.
So I have to correct myself on that.
Not a problem.
But if we're talking not movie tie-in, it's Dark Tomorrow, which I remember fiddling around with. Anyways, we're not going to review Dark Tomorrow, but we might on a future episode. Aha. As far as my thoughts on game design, I think they're dang near perfect. I mean, it really makes that Arkham a character in the game with its insane architectural layouts. Like Joe was saying, there's a penitentiary on one side, there's a asylum on another, there's a botanical garden.
There's a catacombs.
There's catacombs. It's just nuts the way it's all laid out. But it's rightly called Batman Arkham Asylum because Arkham Asylum is such a part of it. Like it's so complicated when you first start playing it. You're like, now where do I gotta go again? But by the time you like beat the game, like you know where everything is.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly where you need to go. It's just very immersive, and that's my favorite thing about the game design is how much time and effort they put into Arkham Asylum, into the design of Batman, and design of the vehicles, the villains. You can tell they cared about the design of everything.
Yeah.
And that's what made it so enjoyable.
The combat, we didn't talk much about the combat of the combat design of this.
Mm-hmm.
Was another cool thing to use too, where you could get yourself in a brawl with a bunch of different goons or whatever, and just boom, you start punching one, and then you flip and do some other thing. Now you're punching this other guy, and just you get the cool moves that you can do. That's just fun.
It's the definition of easy to do, hard to master.
Yeah.
Like there's no fight that's really hard, but if you want to master it and start, once you've upgraded to like the killer combo moves, you have to hit that perfect timing. Because I was watching a playthrough to prep for this as well, and this guy was like really good at. He just hit that perfect timing button. He was getting critical hit after critical hit after critical hit, and it was like, wow, I can't do that. I just sit there and button mash.
Yeah. Just the fluidity that they used in that game design of that, the fighting mechanics of it. It was really cool. Again, just a feast for your eyes to watch.
And it was actually pretty brutal to watch too. There was a serious, where is he kind of vibe when he was cracking skulls. And like, I remember when you're after Joker escapes and you're still in the asylum, he helps somebody up from off the ledge and he punches him in the head. It's like, dang, dude. No mercy.
No mercy.
But yeah, just the bone cracking and the skull cracking, and it was pretty brutal. I'm surprised there wasn't any blood in this game, but you kind of didn't need the blood. It was already graphic enough.
Yeah. It definitely had that a very impactful feel to it. And probably because they've kept this throughout this entire series of games. Whenever you encounter a group for combat, whenever you get that last hit in, it always does that super slow-mo, super impactful hit, which is just a cool mechanic. It feels very cinematic. So good point, Pat. I'm glad you brought it up. Which is going to roll nicely into our next topic. And our next topic is enjoyability. Just how much fun is it to play? Is it weighty? Is it light? Is it airy? How do you feel about it?
Once I got out of the asylum, after the first stage, I had a hard time trying to figure out where I needed to go because it was just so massive. And then you're trying to find the little trophies and take the pictures of the little Arkham, I don't know, it's called a beetle or something like that, where you get
the Arkham Chronicles or something like that.
Yeah, you're trying to find that and you're trying to figure out where to go next. But because it's so massive, and then maybe it was a TV I was playing, everything was really dark as well. So I remember struggling a little bit trying to figure out where to go. And then I realized, there's a thing you can do where you could spray the napalm to blow something up and you can kind of get more stuff. And once I figured that out, I was like, okay. And of course the grates, figuring out where all the grates are so you can kind of maneuver through everything. But once you start figuring that out, that you understand, hey, that's a mechanic of the game, so you can kind of get through and progress. And then it got a little easier. And then the later stages were more linear, except the stage where you're going to fight Killer Croc. That one, I do recall getting lost in that one.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that place is a maze.
Yeah, it is a maze. But once you figure out the mechanics and just kind of the purpose of the game, it was definitely enjoyable for me.
I think one of the key components of that, Joe, and I can't believe we haven't brought this up at all yet, is detective mode. Once you start really making good use of it and realizing how handy it can be, there was points in the game where I was playing on detective mode a lot. I was not even in regular mode.
Yeah, because it gives you an advantage.
It does. Detective mode is super sweet, and it really helps you sometimes when you're stuck. You're like, where the heck do I go? And you go in detective mode, and you see that orange grate way up in the corner. You're like, this is another grate. Get out the batarang, and here I go.
Yeah.
But Pat, let's talk about the enjoyability. How much fun is it to play?
Well, I mentioned it before, just the game mechanics, the controls, combat skill. It was fun to watch and do. Playing it, once you get used to it and into it, there are some repetitive things going on throughout it. But, some of the bosses, some of the things, gets to be repetitive. So you learn that sequence of what you need to do. But all in all, you get the sound, the graphics, everything just kind of put together. It makes it definitely an enjoyable game. So you can enjoy the story that it's trying to tell you. Granted, it's like Joe said, why they got an asylum and this thing all together on one island? But you got to just go for it. It's a comic book. So immersing yourself into the environment, and you get to play as Batman in different modes. You get to play him in detective mode. You get to play him in kick butt mode, play him in stealth mode, all these things. Just having fun with him and watching the characters around it.
Well said. I also think it's extremely fun to play because I think it has a really, really good, in fact, maybe its best feature is its difficulty balance. It never feels overly difficult. We talked a little bit pre-recording about how I felt like it was very similar to Legend of Zelda, and like get a new weapon or ability and now you unlock other places and nothing really feels difficult. The hardest part is figuring out how to use that new weapon or ability because it usually comes into play either to progress or to fight a boss.
Sure.
But I never felt like the game was too hard. Now I will admit to our listening audience that after I hit the age of about 40, I play every game I play now on easy because I just want to have fun. So maybe it is really hard if you ramp up the difficulties.
And easy mode, it's okay to be on easy mode. It's your experience.
It's like we're having like an AA meeting, like a bad video game plays. My name's Jarrod, and I play on easy mode. Like,
Hi, Jarrod.
Like the first time I played it when it first came out, I'm quite certain I played it on regular mode. But these days, like I just want to enjoy my games. I don't want my games to stress me out. I do suffer from video game anger affliction, VGAI, and so that helps me to not like. I just can relax. I just thought I had a really good difficulty balance. Like things felt challenging but not burdensome. You know, there was a couple of times I got, oh, you died and I had to do the room over again or whatever. It was like, okay, clearly I just need a better tactic. Most of the time it was like during a stealth mission or rarely during a boss. Because once like we said, the bosses are so repetitive that kind of once you figure that out. But, at least they do mix it up with stuff like the Killer Croc. That was a boss that was very different, than the others. It was basically be quiet, run for your life. And it was funny. I was watching, guys, this might blow your mind, maybe not, but I was watching a gameplay video of it for this. And I saw a guy do something in the Killer Croc lair that never occurred to me. He used the zip line.
Oh.
Everywhere he went, he used the zip line. So he's not actually walking on those boards. He's just and then he'll let go when he needs to and change directions the other way. And I was like, why the hell did I never think?
Pretty smart. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, and he was smart. He was a speed runner, and he beat the game in like just under 3 hours or right at 3 hours. It was 100% beat at 3 hours. I thought it was impressive, but I was like, oh, man.
That is impressive.
It's always those things that you don't think of, and I've done that. Like I beat all three. Well, there's 4 of them, but I beat the first 3 over the last few months. And it's always that. It's always like I get frustrated, and then I realize, oh, I have a device or a weapon for this. Like I always forget that there's some. Like Joe was saying, he's stuck. He's like, oh wait, I got explosive gel. It's like you have to remember everything in your arsenal. But
that's kind of the fun of it, too. Is the self discovery, right?
Yeah, it's very Zelda-ish because it's a lot like Zelda, where they do similar things. Like they'll put a Riddler trophy, like a Zelda will put a heart container, and you'll be like, I know there's a way to get that. Do I have that ability yet?
Do I want to waste the time? Do I want to spend 3 hours trying to get up there?
I know I bought this game not long, probably a year, maybe 2 after it first came out, and I beat it, but I don't think 100%ed it. So that's why this last time I did. I did on easy. I don't care who knows it.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into our very favorite thing about the game. And Pat, we'll start with you. What's your very favorite thing about this game?
As you were kind of saying it, 100%ing it, one of the favorite things that I liked about this is some of the oddie sideball quest things. And one of it had to do with the Arkham things you had to go find.
The little Chronicle tablets?
Yeah, Chronicle tablet, things like that. And just the background story that it was telling you, along with the tapes, too, that you would get to listen to, for more backstory. And I thought that was really cool. It's like helping build the story even deeper. Jarrod, you listened to all the tapes?
Yeah, especially on the second playthrough, I was a bit more thorough, and I was especially entertained by the Scarecrow tapes about how he was sort of turning around and manipulating his therapist. There's a lot of entertainment in those that I didn't. The first time I was like, I found the tape, whatever, move on. I actually listened to them this time, and they do add more layer.
Yeah. So I kind of like that, along with everything else that we talked about.
All right, Joe, what was your favorite thing about this game?
My favorite thing is a little off kilter. Just bear with me. So we mentioned earlier about the voice acting, just the famous names that we heard for the Joker and for Batman, pretty established names. But what I got excited about is hearing some of the non-player character voices and recognizing those. One in particular, actually a few in particular, was by the same guy. His name is Steve Bloom, and he is very famous in the anime and gaming world. More anime because he voices Spike Spiegel in Cowboy Bebop. And that very famous voice that he has. And he's been in a ton of other games too. But when I heard him in that, I was just like, okay, this game was legit. Yeah, they got Kevin Conroy. Yeah, they got Mark. But they got Steve Bloom in this. Yeah, this game was cool. So that was my favorite thing.
That's when they had you. They got me. All right. You got me.
And to round it out, so many things to like about this game. What's my favorite thing? I'm going to cheat a little bit and just say the ambiance. It just feels right. Everything about it feels right. I'm pulling a Pat and kind of picking up Rod thing that covers a lot of stuff. He does this to me on other shows that we do. But because, I'm like, what's your favorite part of this G.I. Joe comic? He'll be like, the story, and then he'll go in every aspect of the story. I kind of feel the same way. Like, just the environment they created felt right. Batman felt right. He moved right. He sounded right. Everything felt right. There was, aside from a bizarre Batcave on an island, whatever.
Yeah.
I could see like Bruce Wayne like pitching this idea years ago to the city board, like, hey, yeah, I'll build you this prison island, but we're going to put a big curtain up. All right. And no peeking behind it till the island's all built. All right. But anyway, just
and
the
it's just him and Alfred building it up.
Yeah. Just the two of them. Right. Yeah. It took a while.
It was the board approved it 3-2.
Okay, well, with my cheater out of the way for favorite thing, my favorite thing about Batman Arkham Asylum is Batman Arkham Asylum. All right, so let's get to our least favorite thing, and this could be a little challenging because there's a lot of good stuff in here. We're gonna have to do some serious nitpicking, I think, to find least favorite thing. But we'll start with you, Joe.
Yes, my least favorite thing is Zaz's character design, because why does he look like Dawson from Street Fighter?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But yeah, that's nitpicking. Everything else is good. But when I saw that, I was like, nah.
All right, Pat, what's your nitpick?
Repetitive gameplay on the bosses. And some of them, wanted something a little bit more. Final battle. It's like, okay, I've been here fighting these guys again, doing it again, the Titans again, and okay, it's a Joker now, and he's got, so it's, I would say the repetitiveness of that, but still not bad.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you, Pat. If I nitpick this, you know what? I'll take it to one more granular detail level. So it's going to be repetitiveness, but I think in an effort to keep it fresh. As you progress, and you'll go into an area, and now the area has a bunch of poison ivy plant pods. Its only existence is to annoy the piss out of you. Yeah. Or now I've progressed this level where there's this crazy guy who will run out of nowhere and jump on my back, right? Because they just added that to the bigger outdoor portion, so they could I appreciate them wanting to add something. But like those outdoor portions, I don't think was the place to do that. I was like, I appreciate the fact you're trying to put in a layer this, but these things are just annoying.
Yeah. They're trying to stop you from getting somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe when you first see one, you're like, oh, what's this? And it's kind of neat, clever, and cool. But like when you break your 50th plant pot, it's just like, I'm just breaking these because they're ticking me off, If it was me, I probably would have just left the outdoor stuff alone and saved all my creativity and that kind of stuff for the indoor environments when you get inside. But the nitpickiness of nitpickiness, because I'm going to let you know a little secret. Like I said, I played 1, 2, and 3 recently, and I still like this one better than 2. Although the fans love 2 because it's bigger and more expansive and all that. But there's a detriment to that. But, one day we'll cover that game. We'll talk about it. Don't get me wrong. 2 is still awesome. It's up there. But I think this one felt a little more claustrophobic, which is what you want from Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
All right. So we've run the gamut of our discussion topics. It is now time to give this game an overall score from 1 to 10. Of course, 5 is average. It means it's okay. It's fine. I played it. It's okay. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 means you got yourself a heck of a good game. 4, 3, 2, 1 means you have things to work on. So, Joe, I'll give you the honors. 1 to 10.
You'd be surprised. It's a solid 9. I'm not giving halvesies on this one.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah, it's a solid 9 for me.
Let's give it an 8 and 2 halvesies.
Ooh, 8 and 2 halvesies. Okay.
Solid 9 from Joe. What about you, Pat?
I am going to see Joe's 9 and give it a halfsies. And I'm going to bump it to 9.5. Definitely a good game. And one, I think you can go back, I wouldn't go back and play it maybe in a couple years, but it's something that you can always go back to and just feel comfortable. And like Jarrod, you said, then now that you know how to do something else, you continue to learn from it. And, now I can do this. And you think of another way of fighting or doing something.
Yeah, there's only a handful of games out there that I ever want to replay. Like most of the time I play a game, even if I really like it, I don't go back to it. All right. I replay the Tomb Raider games a lot because they're my favorites. I replayed the Castlevania, especially Symphony of the Night. Those are my favorites. And so if I'm fair and I look at it for just replayability, how much I like it, I am going to come back to this game every couple of years and play it again. So I have to give it the full 10. It's that good. To me, it is a perfect game. Nitpicks aside, I enjoy it every time.
No 10
and you know
and a
what?
half.
We didn't even talk about the fourth wall break when they make you think the game glitched out.
Oh,
And like that was super awesome as well.
I forgot about that.
I've beaten the game before, and it got me again. I was like, game glitched out. And then I was like, wait a minute. No. And then I noticed because there was something off with the sign, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like a whole bit, And so, gosh, I don't know. I'll just gush. It's a 10. I'll leave it at that. It's a 10. It's a 10. It's a 10. Everybody.
There you go.
To me.
Not even using your halfsies.
Well, it's a 9 plus 2 halves.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Use them while you got them, Jerry. You got to use them.
I know, but I knew going into this.
Wait, wouldn't that be 10.5?
I'd give it 10 and a half.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Use
It's
that
just-
halfsies.
Like you said, when it comes to games that I actually am just going to go back to, it's pretty much Symphony of the Night, Zelda games, Tomb Raider games, and this series.
Yep.
All right. But you know what? It seems like we forgot something. It seems like we forget something every episode. But I know what it is. So I'm going to throw it over to Joe November. He's our on-staff musical genius to tell us about the music of Arkham Asylum in a segment called Superconductor.
Thanks, Jarrod. So the music for this particular game matches extremely well with the atmosphere, and we touched upon this earlier. Dark, foreboding, cinematic music just really makes the gameplay that much more powerful because you're just listening and you're immersed in such a great musical score. One of the things that I was a little disappointed about is that there wasn't a whole lot of remixes from the game as far as sounds and beats and things like that. In fact, the one that Jarrod shared with me was the only one that I could really find where they used the chime from whenever Joker was speaking over the intercom, the da-da-da-da, and they just repeated that and made a really dope beat with that. I thought that was really cool. But on YouTube, you can listen to the entire game soundtrack. There's one called Enter the Asylum, which has a really great foreboding atmosphere to it, and it just kind of sets the tone for the game. that. And then there was another one called In the Gardens, and it really sounds like it comes from like the Christopher Nolan films. Just a great atmosphere to listen to. You can also find other game sound effects on YouTube mostly, but I was a little surprised that there just wasn't a whole plethora of like game effects. And other than the score, that's really what you could find musically about this game. But still, it's a great game. And like we said, great playability, great voice acting. So yeah, you can't knock that at all.
Not at all. Yeah, the music, I've listened to the soundtrack as well. And oh, by the way, speaking of my eBay skills, I shared this with the fellas. I was like, you know what? I like the soundtrack. You know, it's cinematic. It fits right in with the Danny Elfmans and the Shirley Walkers and all that Batman music. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and see if they sell the soundtrack CD to just the game. And oh, they do. They do. Remember, I sent you guys a picture of the eBay prices. Like the cheapest one was like $100 or $200.
Oh, wow.
They're like super rare. So if you're listening out there and you see a copy of the Batman, the Arkham Asylum soundtrack on CD laying around, do yourself a favor and pick it up because it's worth a lot of money. But yeah, such good music. Like I said, like you could put these tracks in any cinematic Batman movie and they would work. So
it would work. Yep. They did a good job.
Set the mood and the environment for this game.
Yep. That's all for Superconductor musical segment. Let's throw it over to Pat to lead us in a discussion on how well the game captures the essence of the comic book in a segment called Reformatted.
Now, for this segment, does the environment feel like the environment in the comic books? And let's go around quick on that one. Jarrod, this environment, the time, 2009-ish comic book-wise, Batman's been through different kind of style changes here and there. So what do you think? Is this matching the environment, or is it matching more kind of, I guess for me, I'll go ahead and say it right away. It's kind of a hybrid between comic and movie on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think it is a real good amalgam of that, even with a dash of the animated series, probably because of the voices.
Because of voices,
Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. To me, it's like you take everything that's good about the animated series, you take everything that's good about the Tim Burton universe, and you take everything that's good about the Christopher Nolan universe, and you in a blender, and just what you get. So, I mean, the question is, does it make me feel like I'm in the comic book? And I'd have to say, yeah, it does. I think it does. I could definitely see this as a comic book storyline. You know, the Joker getting all hopped up on Bane juice is borderline ridiculous, but I mean, that's what you want from the Joker, right? It's ridiculous.
Crazy, yeah.
So I think it fits in nicely. That's maybe one of its biggest appeals is it fits in nicely with the comic or the cartoon or the movie universe. It's like that chameleon that can like, hey, I'm everything you want me to be. So I dig it, man.
It definitely takes the best parts of all those great works of art and puts into the video game format. So that's why it gets high praise. That's why they, made Game of the Year editions and remade it because it's just that good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You both have kind of gone over a few of the other topics that we would talk about here. Does it look like the comic books? Yeah, and does it feel like you're in the comic book character when playing the game? Yeah, I felt like I was playing Batman.
Especially the stealth parts. Like, I feel like that Batman out of the shadows and...
just dropping in on punks and just you beat him and you just this is fun to stealth around like that and just beat up on people.
I know I'm talking a lot because I love this game, but like I'm not a big fan of stealth levels of games because they're so stressful.
Like Metal Gear. So I was like, oh man.
But like in most games, there's like they're trying to get you to do something very specific to like solve that puzzle. You have so much flexibility here. You can do from above, you can get the grates come from below. I mean, let's be honest, if you want to, you could be like, screw the stealth and just start wailing on fools. Because if you're good enough, they're not, they're not going to hit you.
Yes. Don't even wait on them to finish their dialogue. Just come in and start punching.
That's what the speedrun guy I saw did.
He just went up and whacked people.
Half the time, he just like fly completely over everybody and just open the door and walk out. He's like, this door you can actually leave before you even have to, fight these guys. So I'm like, okay. But no, I'm sorry, I hijacked it. But yeah, it did make me, especially in the stealth section, feel like Batman. And I hate stealth sections in games, but they give you so much room to be creative in these that they don't feel stressful.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you could just have fun with this all the time, just doing different things. Like you said, going back into the room and just, let me try it this way now. And you do something different. Let's talk about, do the villains make sense in this one? They're super villains. They're villains of superheroes. So are they supposed to make sense? In our real world eyes, these are Batman villains.
These are Batman villains in a Batman game pack.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think, Joe?
Oh yeah, they matched up very well to the point where it's like, well, where's the other Batman villains? Where's Penguin? Where's Two-Face?
There was some of that, yeah.
Yeah. And although they kind of reference it in different ways, like when you're collecting trophies and they get the bios and things like that, you still get the feel that, they're involving the iconic villains for Batman into this game. Yeah. And that's why they made more games, because they were like, we need to
you can't give it all villains. Yeah, you can't give it all away right away. So you gotta, just in case there's something you're gonna do another one, you got some more characters to play with. More toys out of the toy box to bring in and have some fun with. Jarrod, what's your thoughts on the villains?
Oh, they're great. They make maximum use out of them. I mean, I liked the Scarecrow levels better than Joe did, so your mileage may vary, because they are kind of like the stealth levels of the game, because you have to do that very specific patterns and stuff to get through it. But whenever the Scarecrow showed up, things were going to get wonky and like you can't believe your eyes type of stuff.
Yeah,
like Joe alluded to at one point. You're actually playing as child Bruce Wayne. You're walking him down a hallway. And so just the Scarecrow alone, but like their designs all are fresh and original, yet familiar. They're all are the essence of what we know them to be. So yeah, no complaints about any of the villains. Like you said, they just leave you wanting more, and that's what you get in the sequels.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, great discussion of what we thought of from going from a comic to game comparison. Now that we all have that figured out, I think it's time we talk about our memories around this game. So let's go ahead and hop on over into our DeLorean, or maybe it's a Batmobile that can go back
with a flux capacitor on it.
With the flux capacitor. Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Okay, if you had a Batmobile one, what one would you put the flux capacitor in? There, the old school Batman one, the 89 Batman mobile.
I feel like aesthetically it would look best on the 66, but I'm an 89 loyalist.
Putting it in there. Joe, where would you put it? Which vehicle?
I'm going to put it on the most recent Batman film.
Okay.
Robert Pattinson one.
Oh, the Charger.
The muscle car.
The muscle car. Oh, yeah, that would be kind of cool to have. Definitely. I'm liking the idea of having it on the Adam West Batmobile. I think that would be
it would
cool.
be neat.
It'd be windy, but it would be cool. All right. Well, now that we got our vehicles decided on how we're going to go back in time here, let's go ahead and go back into our segment called Saving Point. So during the Saving Point, we'll give you some context from the time that our featured game was released by discussing video game news of that time, what was being played at the movies, and what were some of the chart-topping songs. And then we'll wrap it up with our personal memories surrounding Batman Arkham Asylum. So here are the video game events and notable releases from August 2009.
At Gamescom 2009, which was in Germany, Sony revealed its new slim version of the PlayStation 3.
I remember that because I did pick that one up. I did get the PS3 Slim.
I have one laying around somewhere.
So BlizzCon, which is a con, the Blizzard, the gaming company that makes World of Warcraft and Diablo, they had their BlizzCon in 2009 in California, and for this particular one, the tickets sold out within minutes of the online sales opening. And I looked more into it, and it was because there was a new expansion coming out called Cataclysm, and they were going to announce the Warcraft movie, which turned out to be not great. But
I never did see that one.
No, I never watched it at all either. And this is the time I was playing, they had me in WoW, just playing it up. And man, Cataclysm was coming out. I remember that and getting that expansion. Couldn't wait for it. Go down to the was it EB Games or GameStop?
It was hot, man, because as I was doing the research, it was like literally like if you were like went to the office and was like, hey, I got my BlizzCon tickets yesterday, and your buddy was like, oh, I'll pick mine up today. No, no, you won't, because they were literally sold within minutes.
Wow.
Going on sale.
Crazy. Well, also at this time, Guinness World of Record, Batman Arkham Asylum, the most critically acclaimed superhero game ever.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it?
And I had to look that up because I was like, the game didn't even release until late August. So how is this? This is a fact for August. But what I realized was all those critics got the advanced copies so they could release their scores and all that. But yeah, highest scores of a superhero game ever in the Guinness Book.
Nice.
Not Superman 64.
No.
One day that game's going to show up on this show. We're going to have a great episode.
Oh my gosh. Half of it is going to be talking about the least favorite thing.
The rings and everything else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go into the top 3 grossing films released in August of 2009. And I'll start us off with number 3, Pineapple Express. I don't think I've seen it.
I've seen it.
I didn't see it.
Is that a Steve Carell?
I want to say it was Seth Rogen and the Green Goblin actor guy, Franco, one of the Francos.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was a comedy. That's right.
Yes.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
It was pretty funny. James Franco. Appreciate
James
it.
Franco.
Yes, James.
Coming in at number 2 is one of the funniest dang movies of all time, and thank God they made it when they did, because it was today. It is Tropic Thunder. And I gotta tell you guys, my favorite memory of Tropic Thunder was not only was it pretty funny, but I was a good 60 to 70% of the way through the movie before I realized that was Tom Cruise.
Oh,
I
nice.
was like, wait a minute. The makeup job, they have those big meaty hands.
Yeah.
He owns me in that movie. He's so funny.
I've never seen it. I know.
What about the job Robert Downey Jr. did?
Oh, that couldn't get away with it. But
Yeah.
God, he's just a dude playing a dude who's playing
Another dude. I have a funny story about this movie too, because I was just a few years into working at USA, and my boss at the time, who I'm working with now in my new job, he's like, yeah, let's go to the movies. And yeah, I hear Tropic Thunder's pretty funny. Let's go check that out. We were all shocked and surprised at just the nature of that film. It was not a film that you go take your employees to go see. But we all cracked up nonetheless. And that's how I saw Tropic Thunder. With my coworkers.
There's an awkward way, but still fun.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
That's team building right there.
It is team building.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, a team builder.
Here's a fun Tropic Thunder fact for you. In the movie, we all know Robert Downey Jr.'s character is very dedicated to the character that he's playing, because he's a dude playing another dude. In the movie, someone asked him, like, don't you ever drop character? He goes, I don't drop character until I do the commentary on the DVD. So if you listen to the commentary of the DVD track, he does it in character all the way up until the part of the movie when he reveals his true self. Then he starts being Robert Downey Jr. in the commentary.
Wow.
All the way up until that part, he still does it as the character he plays.
Oh, man, that's dedication.
Yeah, so the commentary track is worth your time. It's very funny.
I'll have to check that out. All right. And the number 1 movie at August of 2009 was The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. And I do remember seeing it, and I do remember thinking, it was an okay movie. I don't know if it was the worst of the bunch, but was Jet Li in there?
Mm-hmm. Jet Li,
yeah.
Dragon Emperor. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. And just kind of like the Dragon Emperor, aesthetic and mythos. They incorporated it into the Mummy lore, but it did feel a little bit like jumping the shark at that point.
I appreciate the fact that they got into a different mummy lore than the Egyptian mummy.
Yeah.
But I also, if I'm remembering correctly, and that may be its problem, Joe, it might be slightly forgettable. I think it might have been missing some key characters. Like, I'm not sure Rachel Weisz was in it, or the guy who plays her brother.
She was not, yeah. She was
like
not.
Some of those sort of people that made the mixture were missing from the third one.
Yeah.
But it was still a good popcorn flick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
the number one movie that came out in August of 2009.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
All right. Well, here are the top 3 songs that were playing on your favorite pop radio station during August of 2009. Joe, start us off with number 3.
So number 3 was Drake, and it was the best I ever had. And I made sure to copy the notes I found because someone did a synopsis of that song. And it says, the singer celebrates the presence of a special person in his life and the positive impact she had on him. He expresses his gratitude to her, the best he's ever had, and wouldn't hesitate to spend everything he has on her. He also shares the fun times they've had together and promises to enjoy their success in the future. Folks, it was just a booty call song.
Somebody went way too deep on that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice of him.
Now
Like,
read
maybe
my
I should-
3-page essay on Two
Yeah.
Live Crew. It was so horny.
I know. I thought that was hilarious.
That is
So I did that-
awesome. I saw your notes in the script and I was like, okay. I didn't know it was going to take that swerve at the end.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the number 3 song.
So I guess I shouldn't write the lyrics down and give them out on Valentine's Day to my wife. Well, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. It's still Drake. Yeah, you can get away with it.
Well, coming in at number 2 is You Belong to Me by Taylor Swift. Oh,
See, Pat, I almost fell into that same trap. Because I was like, I know the song You Belong to Me. And that's not it. But this is You Belong With Me.
oh, You Belong.
2 totally different songs, Pat.
Oh, is it?
Is that
I don't
anything
know.
of a Michael McDonald song?
I don't know. No, I'm confused.
I don't know this Taylor Swift. I'm not a big
Yeah.
Taylor Swift fan. I mean, I'm going to let you finish, but
I don't know the song either. So
And then I thought I knew it, but I guess I don't know. I'm really unsure. Jared's
I
got
don't
me feeling unsure about that one now.
not feeling so swift.
Nope, not at all. Maybe you can tailor that in the editing and make it sound better.
Well, Pat, I got a feeling.
Do
oh
you?
my God.
Because the number 1 song at the time, which I actually do know this one, is of course the Black Eyed Peas singing I Got a Feeling. And that's just a fun song. I mean, that's just getting a good mood song right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember listening to a recent interview with one of the members of Black Eyed Peas. It was not will.i.am. It was Taboo, I think. They were talking about how they came to create that song. They literally said, we want to create our anthem song for Black Eyed Peas. And they nailed it. They pretty much nailed it. You
That's
hear this.
great.
You hear this in stadiums and bar mitzvahs everywhere. Yeah, they did it.
Was he a nice guy? Was he like the sweetest Taboo? And that's the show, folks.
Yep.
Well, speaking about the sweetest taboos, let's see if any of us has any standout personal memories surrounding today's featured game. And we'll start with Jarrod. You got any special memory?
Nothing super big. Just remember seeing the game come out. I remember hearing it's a really good game. But you mentioned this like way at the top of this episode, I think, Pat. There have been so many mediocre Batman games. Honestly, if I was to say, what was the best Batman game that came before this? Now, granted, I haven't played that Batman Begins game, so I can't speak to it. But I might have to go all the way back to the NES in 1989, which we've covered on this program.
Mm-hmm.
That might be my favorite one all the way up until this one. I have to think about that, but that could be. But no, like personal memories around. I just remember hearing about it coming out. Everybody said it was so good. I gave it that suspicious eye. If I could put a suspicious eye sound effect in, I would, but I don't know that I could. Just imagine me giving the suspicious eye. And then finally getting a hold of it. I remember I was at my buddy Jesse's house. He's another Air Force friend of mine. And he's like, yeah, I got this game. And everybody says good. And we started playing it. And I remember getting to that first stealth segment and just being like, yeah, man, this this game is something else. And then I, went and got my own copy and beat it. The thing I remember most, I guess, what I'm trying to say is the lead up to it, like just being so suspicious, is it really that good? And then having it pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pass it to Joe.
I didn't play this game when it first came out, so I think I probably played it a few years after that. But around this time, August of 2009, I was just a few months married. Jarrod was there at the marriage ceremonies. This was in April. Technically, it was 14 years ago yesterday.
Happy anniversary, Joe.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. But like I said, I didn't play this game when it first came out. I probably just had a backlog of games that I was going to get to anyway. But when I finally got to it, I definitely dug the experience, except for the annoying scarecrow levels. But everything else was good.
Very cool. A memory I have for this game is getting it for my son to play. I know he wanted to play it, so I'm like, it's a little, 2009. He's just getting to be a little bit older enough to kind of play a darker, more grittier game. So we got it for him. But I remember him playing it on the weekends, and because we would, may have him play it in the living room, so that way we could watch what he's doing and what's going on in the game. So it not only memorizing me and just watching him play it and just watching the story unfold through his eyes and just seeing him, kind of, like the game and the character, to go, okay, I think this might have a hook of comic book, into him. Just that enjoyment you get to see, your kids doing something that you like to do. And, it's a pretty fun, cool thing to have. And he's got memories of it, got memories of beating it. So, just the hours and hours spent grinding away at this game.
Nice.
That is pretty awesome. You know what else is awesome, Pat?
What, Jarrod?
Crusaders Club members.
That is. They are
yes.
awesome.
We are thrilled to kick off our comments and special shout outs to our Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special long box episodes. They get to vote on show content. In fact, they may have voted on this game that we covered. I think I gave them some choices, and I think they picked this one. And so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving so much appreciated support to the show.
And Helica Wolf.
Auburn Elvis.
Bill Beer.
Blast It or Stash It.
Braxton Underwood.
Captain Entropy.
Clinton Robinson.
Dave Collins.
Battle Wagon.
Gary V.
Gerald Green.
Jason Keene.
Jason Lady.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman.
Jim Neal.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Kathy Bright.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traber.
Miranda W.
Pip Daddy Devins, a.k.a. PD Devins.
Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Bryce.
Tony Pennington.
And last but not least, Toronto Cop.
If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Please keep in mind we record these episodes well in advance for release. Your recent edition, we will add you soon. But no worries if we are missing you and you're getting frustrated. Send a hate-filled email to Pat. He's at contact@longboxcrusade.com. Hate-filled, Pat.
I love it.
contact@longboxcrusade.com. But we will get everything straightened out, I assure you. And if you're asking yourself, how do I become a Crusaders Club member? Well, it's very easy. Go to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to the amazing world of Crusaders Club. We certainly encourage you to come check that out. We are using that money to enhance our equipment. And I think Pat has used it to, imports, exports.
Mm-hmm. Some things like that. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, but everything but no heroin.
No heroin.
Yeah.
But seriously, folks, we do put the money back into the show by buying tech upgrades, new mics, and things like that. And most of all, what we spend that money on is the raffle giveaway prizes and the shipping that comes with that. So we do like to put the money back into you guys. We're not getting rich. Pat's not doing imports, exports. That's just a joke.
No.
God, I hope. Oh
not
my
yet.
gosh. Whew. Anyway, if you don't have any of that money laying around and you want to still help us out, Maybe you can write us a review on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. We'd really appreciate it. Or just chat us up. We'd love to hear from you. We love to hear your comments. We'll tell you how you can get with us in just a moment. Now, Joe, I'm going to need you to give the folks a reminder of how they can get in touch with us if they want to chat about the show or any of the shows under the Longbox Crusade umbrella.
Definitely. So you can find any of our many fine programs on anywhere fine podcasts are found. We're also on YouTube, or visit our website at www.longboxcrusade.com. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, hit us up on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Longbox Crusade. You can even email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com. And finally, you can leave us a voicemail at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. Awesome. I want to thank the team for being here. And here's where you can find us personally on the internet. We will start with Pat.
Well, Jarrod, I'm glad you asked. You can find me on the Twitter at Christatos01. Joe, where can the folks find you?
Oh, pretty much anywhere you can play music. I'm on Spotify, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch as Joe November.
Somebody's got more places to be found than me, Pat. I don't know what to do with myself. I do know what to do. I know I need to recommend that. If you like well-produced beats about someone who's passionate about music, who just makes awesome stuff, check out Joe November. I use the SoundCloud the most, but you can find them in lots of different places. And oh, by the way, if you're a podcaster out there and you want cool and unique beats that's not going to get flagged for copyright or whatever, Joe's a good guy to talk to. He does it reasonable rates, and he makes really cool stuff. So it wouldn't hurt to throw Joe a little money and make a really cool, unique intro, outro theme for your podcast.
I got kids to feed.
We have pilfered Joe's Beats library so hard here at the Longbox Crusade. So help him out and do that. And if you want to come chat with me, I'm at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. You can check out my artwares at www.theyardsaleartist.com. With that, thank you for joining us. We hope you'll continue to join us as we go on our crusade to play them all. This Arkham Asylum Intercom Chime remix is brought to you by an account called I'm a Really Good Producer on YouTube.